So if you have been following along, Star Wars Battlefront 2 really kicked off the anti-loot box movement. For years, many hardcore gamers like myself and the Jim Sterlings and Angry Joes have voiced our anger at publishers pushing this monetization scheme into just about everything. But Electronic Arts, who was really the first AAA publisher to introduce the loot box feature into AAA gaming all the way back in I believe 2008 with FIFA, was the very company that went too far with it. Surprise, surprise. For the first time ever, it wasn't just this small group of gamers ranting about these shady microtransactions. It was casual gamers as well, and that anger was loud enough that Disney themselves had to get involved to protect the reputation of the Star Wars brand. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is Electronic Arts' biggest mistake in years. They can claim it was all just a mistake or it was a learning experience, but their defense of the feature before launch and statements reassuring fans after the beta when these initial worries occurred is telling. We've talked extensively about the ramifications that has come from this incident, but for the most part, what I've gathered from EA's statements is pretty much, we promise we won't do this again, but the problem is, does anybody really trust those words? Sure, EA has fixed Star Wars Battlefront 2 only, 6 months post-launch, something the EA supporters or YouTubers want to make sure everyone knows because they need this game to succeed, but nothing has been done to stop something like this from happening again. But now, it does look like change may actually be occurring, and publishers may be forced to avoid the loot box mechanic. I've talked quite a bit about the Hawaii representative Chris Lee and some of the other countries investigating loot boxes following this incident, but for the most part things have not exactly been going all that great thanks to the ESA trying to destroy this conversation.
This is also part of the process where lobbyists chime in. And for several months, the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association of America, has been flying its lobbyists out to Hawaii. The ESA is the trade organization and lobbying arm of all our favorite companies, EA, Activision, Take-Two, Ubisoft, basically every major player in the gaming industry. The ESA lobbyists have been meeting behind the scenes with legislators.
While it seems Chris Lee's bills he was trying to pass, which would have regulated this shady mechanic, have not been successful, outside of the United States, action is being taken. First, let's take a look at the Netherlands, who just days ago declared that some loot boxes were illegal. They examined 10 games and found that 4 of them were illegal by their definition. Right now, the illegal games have not been officially specified, but some reports claim them to be FIFA 18, PUBG, Rocket League, and Dota 2. This report specifically says the risk potential very much depends on how the loot box is offered. The loot boxes with a higher score have integral elements that are similar to slot machines. With these loot boxes, there's very often a higher jackpot where the virtual goods are transferable. Players can keep opening unlimited loot boxes, multiple visual and sound effects are added, and a near miss effect is used. According to this tool, the loot boxes with a higher score are comparable with blackjack or roulette in terms of addiction and potential. According to this tool, the loot boxes with a lower score are comparable with small-scale bingo in terms of addiction potential. Now, I think it's obvious what the Dutch are targeting, and those are games like PUBG and CSGO, which have skin markets, which we've seen some absolutely ridiculous amounts people are spending just for a skin, and I've discussed this before, and it's always interesting seeing the few defenders. One individual I had a long argument with on this tried saying skin markets was how they were making a living and surviving, which I don't know if they were trolling, but it very much outlines just one of the big problems with loot boxes. Now, for those 6 other games, the Dutch did add this. 6 of the 10 loot boxes that were studied do not contravene the law. In these games, there's no question of in-game goods with a market value, and they therefore do not satisfy the definition of a prize under Article 1 of the Betting and Gaming Act. As these loot boxes could nevertheless foster the development of addiction, these games are at odds with the objective of preventing addiction to organized games as much as possible. Pretty much this is a warning to developers that use any loot boxes from Call of Duty to Battlefront 2. One big thing I keep reading on is how many governments are re-examining their gambling laws because they are not updated to the shenanigans that game publishers are pulling nowadays, like loot boxes. But a country that has taken a much more aggressive stance is Belgium. Just the other day, the country's gaming commission has determined that randomized loot boxes in at least 3 games count as games of chance, and publishers could therefore be subject to fines and prison sentences under the country's gaming legislation. Yes, you heard that right, prison time.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Yeah. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do?
The three games that they were referring to were Overwatch, FIFA 18, and CSGO. The commission had also examined Star Wars Battlefront 2 and determined that the recent changes Electronic Arts made to the game means it no longer technically forms a game of chance. But it doesn't matter, EA is still in trouble with their gem, which they most care about, FIFA 18. The money-making microtransaction franchise, which has avoided boycotts because most players are casual gamers who aren't as educated on why loot boxes are manipulative and shouldn't be in a $60 game. The commission has stated that the three games noted before must remove their loot boxes or be in criminal violation of the country's gaming legislation. That law carries penalties of up to 800,000 euros and 5 years in prison, which can be doubled if minors are involved, and very much they are involved. But the Belgian Minister of Justice has said he wants to start a dialogue with loot box providers to see who should take responsibility where. And just a heads up to the minister, but there's some executives that deserve all the blame, especially since most of them have their wallets getting fatter off of the success from this mechanic. Anyway, this is hopefully the start of loot boxes dying, and hopefully publishers truly will learn their lesson from pulling this crap, but probably not. The ESA can keep comparing loot boxes to baseball cards, but no one is believing that dumb argument, and the recent ESRB changes, including an in-game app sticker on all games that feature any downloadable content, is a joke. I gotta say, this news certainly gives me a sense of pride and accomplishment. What do you guys make of this news? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this. Turn notifications on so you don't miss out on any videos, and I'll see you later.